Yes, this really is the all-new 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. It is strikingly different than the previous generation. Hyundai does say that this new car is more family-friendly and also adventure-ready. So, does it do those things? Let's go for a drive and find out. The 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe's hybrid powertrain is unique compared to some other hybrid vehicles in the sense that it doesn't use a naturally aspirated engine and it doesn't use an eCVT. What it has under the hood is a 1.6-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine and a 6-speed traditional automatic transmission. The engine on its own produces a little under 180 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, which on its own is pretty decent. But with the added aid of the electric motor, the combined system output of this Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid is 231 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. Because the engine is turbocharged and peak torque is reached at really low RPMs, in addition to the instant torque of the electric motor, you can definitely feel that this Santa Fe Hybrid does have a bit more pep in its acceleration compared to some other hybrid vehicles such as the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. And of course, unlike many of Toyota's hybrid vehicles, this does not use an E all-wheel drive system. It has an H-track all-wheel drive system, so there is a drive shaft connected to the back wheels. And here in Canada, the Santa Fe Hybrid only comes with all-wheel drive, which is great for weather like this. As for the transmission, the shifts are really smooth, which is the most important thing in a car like this. But unfortunately, they are not very fast. Whether you use the paddle shifters in sport mode or just put your foot on the throttle pedal and demand a burst of acceleration, you do need to wait a little bit before the transmission downshifts accordingly and the car gets going. As for the fuel economy, this Santa Fe Hybrid with the all-wheel drive system is rated for 6.8 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. I've been averaging about 7 liters per 100 kilometers, so it's pretty close to what it's rated for. And best of all, this engine only requires regular fuel. It does not require premium fuel like many other turbocharged engines. The electric motor is supplied by a 1.49 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. It has enough energy to allow the Santa Fe Hybrid to accelerate from a stop to city speeds, all while using only the electric motor. This will, however, be a slow acceleration. In most situations, the engine will provide most of the grunt while the crossover gets up to speed, and then it'll shut off, allowing the electric motor to maintain speeds for brief periods. The battery is recharged automatically by the engine and through regenerative braking. Speaking of which, the 2024 Santa Fe Hybrid will allow the driver to choose different regen braking modes. There are levels 1, 2, and 3, with each providing more and more regen force. There's also a smart regeneration setting, which automatically adjusts the regen force. Personally, I don't like any of these because levels 1 to 3 provide instant regen and it's almost impossible to control it. This makes the deceleration feel like an on-off switch. As for the smart regen, it constantly changes based on what the vehicle ahead is doing. I'd much rather control the regen braking through the brake pedal, which is what this car also allows by default. It's a much smoother deceleration. Around corners, the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid is competent, but it will not invoke any sort of driving pleasure. That is honestly totally fine for a vehicle such as this. The crossover feels stable through turns, and unlike some other Hyundai vehicles, the ride doesn't get upset by mid-corner bumps. In Canada, the Santa Fe Hybrid is only available with all-wheel drive, while in the United States, it's optional. Should you find yourself on some loose tarmac, the Santa Fe Hybrid is equipped with a few different terrain modes including snow, mud, and sand. For more adventurous families, the Santa Fe is available on the new XRT trim, which adds all-terrain tires, door cladding, and a front skid plate. However, this trim is not available with the hybrid powertrain. The Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid delivers a smooth ride over a vast variety of road surfaces. It's not perfect, as very rough roads can make the ride feel choppy, but the suspension copes well with a few bumps on city streets or highways. I also found the driver's seat to be very comfortable. It has the traditional 8-way power adjustments along with 2-way lumbar support. The passenger has a manually adjustable seat. As for noises inside the cabin, as I mentioned earlier, the low-end torque of the turbocharged engine along with the instant torque of the electric motor means that the engine doesn't need to rev all that high to get the car moving. This in turn keeps the cabin quieter. Of course, when you really push hard on the throttle pedal, the engine screams into life. But otherwise, it's barely noticeable. Wind noise is surprisingly subdued considering that this is a box on wheels, and tire noise on highways is also well muted. The switchover from the electric motor to the gasoline engine is seamless as well. As I mentioned a little ago, I find these seats in the Santa Fe Hybrid to be very comfortable. But what I didn't mention are the armrests on the center console as well as on the door panels. They sit really high up, so normally when I review all of these cars, I like to have the seat as low as possible. Don't ask me why, I just like it that way. But in this car, because the armrests are so high up, I've had to raise the seat. If I were to leave the seat at the lowest position, then my shoulders would be up here like this, and I'd feel like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. So I've had to raise the seat up a little bit so that my shoulders feel a little bit more normal. Thankfully, this doesn't affect the headroom because I still have just enough headroom. Also, I have plenty of leg space, and you do sit really high up in the Santa Fe Hybrid. So there's plenty of visibility over the front hood, plenty of visibility out the side, and I can even see out the back. However, out the back, the headrests in the third row do obstruct the view just a little bit. The design of the cabin is broadly similar to that of other Hyundai vehicles, so it has a dual screen layout. It has some physical buttons and knobs, however, some of the climate controls are adjusted through a touchscreen. But thankfully, the temperature controls are physical knobs, so you can just set the fan speed to auto and then just manipulate the knob for increasing or decreasing the temperature. There's a few buttons as well as knobs on the steering wheel, but it's not overcrowded. And this Santa Fe Hybrid also has a gear selector that is protruding from the steering wheel column. But unlike some other Hyundai vehicles, my knee is not close to touching the gear selector when I'm changing from the throttle pedal to the brake pedal or vice versa. There's plenty of space. This being a family vehicle, there are of course also quite a few places to store smaller items. So it does have a traditional glove box, and there's also another one that is right on top of it. On the top spec calligraphy trim, this upper glove box also doubles as a UV sanitation tray. So you can put your smartphone in there, close it, and then push a button somewhere here on the center console, and it'll sterilize your smartphone of any bacteria using UV lights. Pretty cool. But it's only available on the calligraphy trim. You can of course also get 2 wireless phone charging pads, but again, this is only on the upper trims. On this trim, it's only 1 wireless phone charging pad, but there is a lot of space underneath it for a small bag. And this center armrest, or center console I should say, can be opened from the front like a traditional one, or you can open it from the back. Pretty interesting. There is, of course, also plenty of space for large water bottles on the door panels, on the lower portion of the door panels, I should say. And there's also a small tray just above the glove box for small items or cell phone or whatever it may be. So all in all, a really thought out interior, and feels pretty nice as well. The materials, for the most part, are generally soft. There is a little bit of gloss black around the climate controls and a few harder plastics on the center console, but otherwise, most of the stuff that you actually touch is pretty good to feel. Now, with that, let's go check out the back seats. Back here, behind my tall 6'4" driving position, I have plenty of space for my knees, plenty of space for my feet, and plenty of headroom. There is a second moonroof. This one doesn't open, it's only the front one that opens, so it does feel quite airy back here. And if you are relegated to the center seat, there's almost no center hump. You can get the Santa Fe Hybrid with captain's chairs as well, but for the Canadian market, captain's chairs are only available on the calligraphy trim. As I mentioned earlier, you can open the center console from the back here, but you also get another big storage bin right underneath it. You also get a USB-C port on the back of each front seat. There's an air vent built into the B-pillar. Each door panel has 1, 2, 3 cup holders, and should you want more cup holders, there's 2 more here in the center armrest. So pretty well thought out if you like to have a lot of cups. Now let's go try and squeeze into the third row. Getting into the third row is pretty straightforward. There's one button up here and another one down here. You can use whichever one you want, and as you can see, just tilts the seat forward and slides it forward. Now the opening to get into the third row is pretty narrow, so getting in is not that bad, but coming back out is a little bit more difficult. Once you're in, with the seat all the way back and reclined a bit more back at a normal angle, legroom is very, very tight back here for somebody as tall as me. Little kids shouldn't have too much of an issue, but tall adults will have an issue. However, headroom is actually not that bad. My hair isn't brushing up against the headliner. Back here you do have rear AC controls, but it's only for the AC. You cannot control the temperature and you can only change the fan speed. There are also USB-C ports on either side, as well as 2 cup holders for each person. And that's about it for the third row of the Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. The power-operated liftgate along with the trunk opening are both very large and square. Behind the third row seats, the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid has 413 liters of cargo space. Behind the second row, it has 1,148 liters of space. And with the second and third row seats folded, maximum cargo capacity is 2,267 liters. Interestingly, the 2024 Santa Fe Hybrid does come equipped with a spare wheel underneath the vehicle in other markets, but not here in Canada. All we get is a tire repair kit that's under the trunk floor. Getting your hands on the 2024 Santa Fe Hybrid is not that difficult. It starts at around $41,000 Canadian, and you can add on the Trend package for an additional $4,000 Canadian. But therein lies the problem. This hybrid powertrain is only available on one trim level. That's it. So if you want a fully loaded calligraphy trim of the Santa Fe with all of the bells and whistles, you can't have it with the hybrid powertrain. That trim only comes with a 2.5 turbo engine, at least for us here in Canada. In the United States, however, it's a different story. The hybrid powertrain is available on many more trim levels, and it's also available as both front-wheel drive and also all-wheel drive. Though this is not a top-spec trim of the 2024 Santa Fe, it still comes with all of the essential convenience features. It has heated front seats along with a heated steering wheel, leatherette upholstery, the 2 sunroofs that I mentioned earlier, but only one of them opens, the large power liftgate, 3-zone climate control with the front occupants having 2-zone automatic controls, wireless phone charging pad, the dual 12.3-inch displays, backup camera, keyless entry, and push-button start. The infotainment system is the same one that is found on the updated Kona. It has a few new graphics and an updated menu system, but dig deep enough through the sub-menus and you'll find that some items look identical to the previous iteration. The big update is the introduction of wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Once connected, my Android phone stayed connected and the system worked flawlessly. As for the exterior, the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid incorporates some of the blocky digital signatures of the Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and Kona. But beyond that, it looks like no other Hyundai vehicle that's on sale today. From the side profile, it almost looks like a Land Rover Defender, while the back is almost perfectly flat. I personally don't like this blocky design, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Just like the Kona that I reviewed earlier in the year, Hyundai did a thorough job in updating the 2024 Santa Fe Hybrid. It's a really good all-round crossover SUV that'll satisfy the needs of many families. It would just be nice if, for the Canadian market at least, the hybrid powertrain were available on more trim levels. But maybe in later model years, Hyundai will change that. In the meantime, if you would like to know more about this 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid, I have a written review with a few more details about it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up here. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck or most likely another SUV like this one. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.